Imagine if, 20 years ago, Pokemon was released not as a video game, but as a book. Assuming you played Pokemon, of course, how different would your childhood have been? Hey there, this is TonberryBleu from Faction Esports. As I approached my 28th birthday, I wanted to take some time to reflect on how storytelling in video games has impacted me throughout my life. While I love reading books and watching movies, I think video games have always been a very misunderstood and underappreciated storytelling medium. There are a lot of things that video game stories can provide that other mediums cannot, and as I go down memory lane, I'm hoping that some of my experiences also resonate with yours. As a kid, my parents set a rule. If I wanted to play video games, I needed to read a book for an equivalent amount of time first. So, if I wanted to play video games for an hour, I had to read a book for an hour first. I'm not complaining about this. In fact, I think it's a really good idea, and I'll probably be doing something similar to my children in the future. But there is something to be said here about the mindset about video games in relation to other accepted forms of media. It's gotten better of late, obviously, but people have always seen video games as a giant waste of time, and while this is true if done in excess, I'd argue that a huge reason why I am who I am today, and others are who they are, is because of the wonderful experiences they had playing games. Let's talk about Pokemon. There is a reason why it has such a huge place in my heart to this day, and it is because it captured the spirit of adventure and freedom like no other media did. You chose your starter, you chose how you fleshed out your team, you chose how you wanted to approach the story, and you had the ability to share this experience with other friends as well. Especially as a kid, where our imaginations are still developing and growing, Pokemon was able to tap into that expanding imagination and provide a world where it could flourish freely. Nowadays, I can't even imagine what I want to eat for dinner, but as a kid, Pokemon was just magical. When I was around 10 years old, one of my cousins introduced to me a game called Final Fantasy X. I had never heard of Final Fantasy before this, so I went in without any expectations whatsoever. Well, my name kinda comes from Final Fantasy, so safe to say that this game left a lasting impression. Without giving away too much of the story, you basically play as someone who is transported to another world vastly different from your own. You befriend a colorful cast of people, and in the end, you sacrifice your life to not only save the world, but those that you love. The world building was so impeccable and the story was so immersive, and it's a game that has really taught me the value of thinking outside of just myself. As a preteen, that's pretty hard to do, but this game really helped me understand the value of self-sacrifice. Fast forward a few years into high school, and a sandbox game called Infamous came out. You're basically Peter Parker from Spider-Man, except you wake up with electricity slinging powers instead. What was innovative about this game was that you could decide whether to use your powers for good or for evil. The story would change, the environments would change, and the way the world looked at you would change depending on every choice you made. The game really struck home with me because it introduced a complex story path that a basic book or movie couldn't replicate. It helped me explore my own decision-making process, and it made me realize that to this day, I am a goody two-shoes in the worst possible way. Except for when I play Among Us, but that's a topic for another video. Most recently, as I trudge through the 9-to-5 work life and think about what I want to achieve in my life, I've gravitated towards games that make me reflect on past mistakes, games that are bittersweet, games that ask challenging moral questions. One such game, or series, is the To the Moon series. It is a game focused almost entirely on story instead of gameplay, and yet I don't think I've ever cried as much as I did while playing this series. The series revolves around a couple of scientists who perform memory adjustment services for those who are about to die. So, if you've ever watched the movie Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, imagine if, instead of straight up removing memories, the doctor was able to fabricate new memories or adjust old ones so that the patient could die happy. This is kind of macabre, I know, but it really got me asking myself the real questions. Forget about the meaning of the world or that other stuff. Can you really die happy if the memories you ask for aren't real? And if a service like that existed in the real world, would you ever consider using it? Regardless of your answer, you play as the doctors in the To the Moon series, and it is this morally conflicting perspective that really brings the story of each patient to life in a way only video games can. And if there's any game on this list I would recommend the most, it would be this series. If you have a few hours to spare, and if you're in the mood for some feels, you should definitely check this one out. Thank you for listening to basically my life story. A huge reason why I became a streamer is to share these moments with the audience and to enjoy the company of people who, despite all of our differences, can take some time out to make each other's day just a little bit better. Video games have made an everlasting positive influence on my life, and I'm really glad that it is a medium that we can all use to connect with one another. And to that, I'd like to thank you again for watching this, and I'd like to ask one question. How have video games and their stories affected your life? Feel free to leave a comment in the section below, and until next time, peace.
What is up, guys? Thank you so much for watching this content by Faction. If you liked what you saw, don't forget, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and share it with everybody that's important to you. But lastly, do not forget, everybody deserves to be honored. Thanks for watching.